So what is Repro Shabbat? I know not everybody has been here for the last couple of years when on that particular Shabbat. It's the annual Shabbat celebration that honors the Jewish value of reproductive freedom. It takes place annually on Parshat Mishpatim, which is the reading of which contains the verses commonly referenced as the foundation of Judaism's approach to reproductive health, rights, and justice. There, now you have your background overview if you need it. And if you're interested into a deeper dive into the Toraic text and rabbinic interpretations, please email me. I can send you all kinds of information. But since we've studied that together over the past couple of years, I did want to shift our focus a bit this year. Now, before we begin, I want to acknowledge that this is a difficult topic. We cannot know what choices have been taken from those around us. Conversations about reproduction can be incredibly fraught. And I urge you, when having these conversations, to always enter them with care, kindness, and compassion. To that end, I want to share with you an event coming up at the end of the month before I enter my sermon, my talk proper. Members of the Jewish community who have experienced pregnancy or infant loss are warmly invited to attend Comfort in Community, Living with Pregnancy Loss. This event will be from 3 to 5 at Congregation Beth Shalom on Sunday, February 22nd. They do request that you RSVP by February 16th, but particularly as we're talking about these issues, I wanted to make sure that you're all aware of that. And we have that on the slide deck. You can email me with any questions. Now, I'm going to ask you to do a little experiment with me. So get comfortable where you are. I know it's a pew, so you can't get entirely comfortable. And if you're comfortable doing so, please close your eyes. And if that doesn't work for you, then just soften your gaze so that you're not focused visually on anything in particular. And I want you to take a breath that is deep for you. And just keep breathing. And for a moment, I want you to just notice your breath going in and out of your body. Good. And I want you to start to notice your body more. Where is your breath going? Where is your breath not going? What can you feel? Are there any places in your body that feel tight or that feel like they need some kind of attention? This breath is yours. This body that you feel is yours, with all of its stuff, good and bad, the parts that bring you joy and the parts that bring you sorrow. This body is yours. I invite you to take one more deep breath and then open your eyes and refocus your vision and bring your attention back to where you are sitting in this sanctuary with each other. Now I'm going to repeat that last part in case you were so deep in a meditative state that you missed it. Your breath is yours. Your body is yours with all of its stuff, good and bad. The parts that bring you joy and the parts that bring you sorrow. This body is mine. Your body is yours. And Judaism affirms that officially. And at its core, that's what Repro Shabbat, reproductive rights Shabbat, is about. Does it include the position that a woman has a right to decide for herself whether or not abortion is an option? Yeah, it does. But reproductive freedom is about so much more than that. And to be frank, abortion rights are about so much more than just abortion. As the National Council of Jewish Women reminds us, if Shabbat is an opportunity to pause, rest, and take a step back from the rhythms of the world, then Repro Shabbat is an invitation to Jewishly imagine a world where everyone has greater access to reproductive health care, including abortion access and full body autonomy. And that's what I want to focus on, full body autonomy. Imagine that. In 1873, the Comstock Act was passed. 1873. The Comstock Act was passed by U.S. Congress, making it a federal crime to sell or distribute contraception through the mail or across state lines. Soon after, 24 states enacted their own laws to restrict that same thing on the state level, and Connecticut made it illegal to even use birth control. My friends, that was upheld until 1965. 1965. In the early 1900s, Margaret Sanger opened America's first birth control clinic and launched the Birth Control Research Bureau in New York and the American Birth Control League, which later merged to form Planned Parenthood. Now, I don't know about you, but I know that there was a time in my life where if it were not for Planned Parenthood, I would not have received a gynecological exam ever, nor would they have found the cysts growing in my body, nor would I have been able to afford having them removed. I was able to do all of that and possibly stand before you today because of Planned Parenthood and soapbox. According to the National Women's History Museum, Sanger strongly believed the reason she did all this is because she believed that the ability to control your family size and make that choice was crucial to ending the cycle of women's poverty. She did prison time for her work. In 1960s, we got the pill and arguments about marital privacy, a bit of a swing toward autonomy as long as you were married in a heterosexual relationship. Single women could not legally obtain abortion, birth control pills until 1972. So within my lifetime. And it took a Supreme Court decision for a woman to be able to buy a birth control without a husband. I don't know, I find this ridiculous. Perhaps you do not. Until 1972, women did not have legal reproductive autonomy. Reproductive rights in general and abortion rights in particular are about so much more than legal access to terminate a pregnancy. Anti-abortion zealotry often harms those who are actually struggling to get pregnant. Abortion bans often wrap themselves around and curtail legal access and agency during the IVF journey. Again, from the National Council of Jewish Women, these numbers blew my mind. Forced birth takes lives. Maternal death rates are 62% higher in states that ban or restrict abortion, and babies born in banned states are 30% more likely to die in their first month of life. And that is because of everything that gets wrapped in together on this one narrow issue. Black and American Indian, Alaska Native women are about 3 times as likely to die in pregnancy, childbirth, or right after giving birth as white women, even though 84% of pregnancy-related deaths are preventable. Bans disproportionately impact BIPOC women and others, that's Black, Indigenous, and people of color, those struggling to make ends meet, young people, immigrants, and trans men, and some non-binary people. I believe it's overly simplistic to write off reproduction rights as a single issue matter, choosing to rally around one's personal opinion of abortion. Without protected bodily autonomy, we have seen forced sterilization and forced procreation. We have biochemical, disease, and other medical experiments done on prisoners and marginalized communities without their consent and often without their knowledge. We have women and homosexual men and minorities imprisoned and institutionalized for having radical opinions, working for change, or simply being something that other people disapprove of. This is our history. This is what happens when we do not have protected bodily autonomy. And this is what we have worked together to try to overcome. This is our social justice work in action. Reproductive freedom is about choice, it is about autonomy, and it is about freedom. Reproductive rights protect our rights, all of our rights, to health choices and bodily autonomy. They protect the ability for each of us to decide freely whether, when, and how to have children. They include access to contraception, safe and legal abortion, and fertility treatments. They encompass maternal care, gender-affirming care, and sex education. They lay the groundwork to protect those of us making these decisions from coercion, discrimination, and violence. And rabbis are still writing about all of these issues. I wanted to share with you one of my favorite recent writings. This is by Rabbi Becky Silverstein, a great contemporary rabbi and co-founder of the Trans Halakha Project 2022. The discussion, this is a Talmudic debate, the discussion of who is permitted to eat on Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement, has much relevant wisdom to offer. Most Jewish people observe Yom Kippur by incorporating prayer into a set of rituals that includes a 25-hour fast. I know many of you have experienced that with me. What happens if someone is ill and cannot fast on Yom Kippur? The Talmud invokes a verse from the biblical book of Proverbs, Lev yodea marat nafsho. The heart knows the bitterness of its soul, to teach that the sick person is actually the expert who should make this decision. The text of the Talmud even says that nobody can possess more expertise on such a question than the sick person themselves. So in this way, Judaism's principle of Lev yodea marat nafsho, the heart knows the bitterness of its soul, authorizes as experts both pregnant people who want to end pregnancy and trans people seeking gender-affirming care or the right to live as their true selves. It demands that we honor the self-knowledge of those individuals. My breath is my breath. Your breath is your breath. My body is my body. Your body is your body. Judaism affirms this. And at its core, that is what Repro Shabbat is about. I would like us to conclude together reading a prayer. It's on the slide if you are willing to join me. May we always remember that each person is created in the image of the sacred, endowed with the inherent right to autonomy and respect. May we create a caring and loving community and nation that reveres this dignity in each of us. May we understand our obligations to one another. We are all inherently holy and should be treated as such. May we find within ourselves the collective will to create a just society in which reproductive justice, the holy right to own the personhood of one's own body, to have or not have children, to raise any children in safety and community is foundational. May we endow each other with the strength, resolve, and courage we need as we walk together towards a liberatory world. May we always follow the leadership of those impacted by the harms of reproductive oppression. May we listen and learn. May our country become a place of true liberty and justice for all. May our relationships with each other be ones of care and deep respect. Amen. Thank you for letting me share that with you this evening.